I'm ready.
Hi, Carolyn.
Hey.
How are you doing?
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Good week. It's beautiful here in Michigan today. It's like a very gorgeous day. And I am drinking my healing water too. Cheers to fluids, good water, right?
Yeah, I haven't drank. I usually have a gallon a day, and I've not been on my game with that, although I've done everything else I usually like to do. But
you know what? Let's make a promise to each other to be back on the water thing, because like I'm pretty good too, but I feel like I just start working and I'm not thinking about it, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, that was a lot of water I missed.
Yeah, and I usually do a whole gallon. I have a gallon that I'm infamous for taking everywhere, but I just didn't, it's just one of those days. But yes, let's do
Actually,
that.
a friend of mine bought me one of those, and it's in my back room, and I think I'm going to fill it up.
Yeah, I have two. I have one in my car, one in my house. But yeah, all right. So we didn't get to do our introduction for our episode 17 here.
17.
I know.
Oh, so excited. Okay. Wow. I'm ready when you are.
Okay.
Ready, go.
Unordinary conversations with Amanda.
And with Carolyn. Really excited to be here for number 17.
Yeah, welcome everybody for joining us. And it is a little chilly here now, depending when this episode comes out. It may not be so chilly once this one launches. So it might be a little funny when we watch these because our seasons may be a little off, but you never know. So how was your week, Carolyn?
I had a good week, and if you're okay, I'm going to jump into my lessons learned.
Yeah, I would love to hear your lessons.
If that sounds good to you. So, we all live every day to our fullest, do the best we can, right? Make the best possible situations, and hope that other people make good choices and join in. And I hope people pay attention to my intentions and look for more from their lives because of what I'm putting out. And I feel like that was a message for me this week of looking at myself. Now, you can't look at yourself from 360 degrees, but would be interesting if you could. But you count on other people to help you do that. And I feel like I did a good job and made good situations for myself this week, and that hope that other people learned from that. And my personal growth, the win comes in many packages, and sometimes it's just a cool story that you get to reflect and share and encourage others. And remember that the story continues, it's never over. And with that, I have one quick story that influences my lessons learned and my personal growth and ties back into that. It was National Chocolate Day a couple of weeks ago, and I thought it was super interesting that I quoted on a chocolate project that day, and a large chocolate project that day. And when I found out that I didn't get it, instead of being upset or sad or just whatever, disappointment, I decided to think that it was super cool that I knew going into the day, because of MJ from M3 Linked, because she shared that piece of information that it was National Chocolate Day. I thought the whole thing lined up so perfectly. And the story's not over till it's over. And it may come back around. And either way, I have a great ending to my story because it all started and lined up on National Chocolate Day. So I guess my point would be, if you have a disappointment, look outside the disappointment and see the chocolate, right? See the sweet.
See the chocolate. See the sweet of it.
See the chocolate. See the sweetness. Not everything is a win, but then I would also counter that with certainly not everything is a loss. It's your perception. And so I share that, and that is just reflection of the entire week. It was a win.
Yeah, I like that. Not everything is a win, not everything's a loss. It depends on your perception, as you mentioned. And just out of curiosity, because my curious mind wants to know, maybe other ones too, but did you eat chocolate on the National Chocolate Day?
So very interestingly, I am not a chocolate fan.
Me either.
No way.
I'm like a vanilla girl.
Okay, I'm a vanilla girl too, and it's not that I like a fudgicle every now and then, but I am so not like
Chocolate cake, not my thing. Oh, look
no,
at that.
that is
Who would have known? And I do like, I don't know about you, but I love a chocolate or peanut butter icing with chocolate cake. Then I can do it. But if it's
nope,
not, you don't like that either.
no, and it's not even that I don't like it. I just I don't have that craving
Yeah.
for it, and so it's just
Yeah.
kind of funny. But that's more irony to the story. You know what I mean? Like I feel
Yeah.
like I could write a funny blurb about it, but at the end
Yeah.
of the day, it's all about winding up with what's sweet.
Well, I like it. I was just curious. It's funny because I'm not a chocolate fan either, but if there's peanut butter involved, then I can do it. But I'm more of a vanilla icing, vanilla cake kind of girl.
I love vanilla cake and vanilla icing.
Look at that. So that's our thing. That's funny. I've always been like that. I've always been more of a vanilla
Me
person.
too.
And it's really rare, like you said, for me to like want chocolate is very rare. It's like very like it could be like 6 or 7 months. So I'm like, you know what? I really want like a sea salt, dark chocolate or something like that's
That's how I am. Right. It's random. It's like,
yeah, it's like, yeah, how funny. So look at that. We learned something unordinary about ourselves, but actually is in common
of course
today.
it's in common. I don't know. We have this funny
We have a lot of
balance between
comments. I
us.
know, it's funny. Well, there you are. Well, I like your lessons learned. I'm glad that you shared about your project and also just shared about, things that you're doing in your life, as well as just about the wins and just how we perceive things. It's really good.
But tell me, what have you learned and what just
For my life.
give us a glimpse into your personal growth in the last week?
Yeah, so I know we're still on this journey I've been talking about, which will be interesting to see where I am later. But I would say I'm still journeying through keeping peace no matter the circumstance. And I think that is with mindset, but also doing the deeper work. Things that and this is probably goes into my quote later, but peace is interesting because it's internal. It's not external, but our peace comes outward. And so for me, it's learning in all circumstances that I can keep my mind in peace. That's actually one of my favorite verses, but it's like keeping my mind and my heart in peace. But we learn that, I think, over time, that, no matter the circumstance, that I can just roll with it. And then when I'm feeling anxious, what is it that I'm trying, like, what am I needing to learn about the situation, or am I resting or trying on my own? Because the more that I keep trying to like make things different, it may not really be helpful. So I've really been on a journey of learning that in this current situation I'm in, and keeping peace, and just going deeper into, okay, where am I at now? And I know the promises, I know the things that I'm going to be doing, working with and coaching, but I think that a lot of the journey that you're on, depending on like what you're called to, like there's a journey to get there. Like we grow into different places that we're going to be as a human. And I think that over time, and you may relate to this, but for me, I didn't consider myself an author per se years ago, right? Maybe I do have my 2 published journals. That was rough, remembering I'm a writer. And it took me some time for me to say out loud, I am a writer. And that's not painful. I can say that with ease. And that's the mindset work, because when we say something, or it's scary to say something, it's probably because because once you say something, either it's true or it's not true about yourself. And then you kind of have it until you actually go deeper and say, well, why am I believing this about myself? So nonetheless, I am a author coach, which that was something new in my identity I accepted this coming year, besides consultant. So again, I think just really stepping into some of who I am in my full capacity, and also just really thankful. I think this week I really reflected on being thankful. I have a lot of amazing people I've met, including you, Carolyn, and M3 Linked, and just people in my life that I believe have truly impacted me. Just even the people that I just reflected even over the years. Like I have some solid people that I know are in my life for a reason, and just really taking time. Oh, this is the other good thing is I realized I've been doing a lot of mindset work, and I do that in all kinds of areas, right? Money, mindset. And I was like, what's off? And I realized, because I had a self-care survey in my class in Philly, I have not kept myself balanced. When I get stressed out, I know you have your morning routine. I love my morning routine. I've always been one who loves to work out early, loves to do stuff. And my schedule right now, because of my Tuesday, throws me off because I have to get up early then, and then I have to come home late, and it's hard for me to get up early. So I've been neglecting some of the most important things for me, which is getting up in my morning, having my routine. I love worship and prayer. I love it. And then even doing that when I'm going around walking or running and working out. And I've been neglecting those 2 or 3 hours where I like do that, like my morning routine and, get my tea. And really that's like a priority. That's like eating, right? Or sleeping.
Mhm.
And I realized, wow, I've been shifting that and it's really shifted my mood and it's really kind of taken me off center in some ways in that area, and that impacts everything else. Like I believe all of that is important to me. And so I realized twice last week that I was not doing that, and it's so important to me. So I'm now, just the last 2 days, I've been like tracking everything and keeping governance is what I call it. It's like the highest
Okay.
form of accountability to self. And so I've been really looking at, okay, what am I doing? Because it's like then I can see, did I do it? And it's a way of not like shaming or punishment, but it's a way to say, wow, like I'm keeping on track and drinking my water, and just helps me see over time, like what am I being consistent on or not. So it's just been me getting back into it. I must say, like I did it yesterday and today, and it felt so good just to be outside. It felt good to be in nature. It felt good to be doing things for myself first, and then moving on to keep that balance between everything.
That's fantastic. I mean, there is just realizing and paying attention and reflecting and believing in growth is all forward movement, right? And I love when you said, I'm looking at my notes, growing out of, growing into and growing out of, and then sometimes you grow back into and not going back to, but you can continue the growth that you may have had to put on hold for a minute for whatever reason, because whatever, any other reason. But I just think that the key of what you said and what you're doing for yourself and what our listeners can do is pay attention and be responsible for the reflection, but more than that, doing something about it, right? Making the shift and realizing when you need to, and you did that, and that is just kind of a big deal. And I'm being facetious. It's a huge deal. I'm saying, right? And so I don't know. It reminds me, and I hope it reminds everybody else that every day is important, and every day we get to start fresh. But it's important every day to reflect back on life. Reflect back.
Absolutely. Yeah, reflection's good. So so that's been my week. And I guess we did ask each other about our favorite chocolate cake, but maybe there's another question you want to ask me.
I know, it's actually funny because okay, so I'm gonna ask you what I wrote down, and then maybe I'll save my other one. I have another one too, but so what sparked your desire to go back to school, and how can we get our audience involved or motivated by your choice if they're on the fence about going back into education, or not into education, but going back for schooling, going back even for GED. I mean, not everyone continued or finished their education, and there's lots of great, wonderful, successful people who I guess we might be surprised by that, right? And your passion to continue school, I'm curious what sparked it, and how can others learn from that and decide to do it for themselves?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I like your segue really into that was that some people don't go back to school. I love education. I think it shapes us in different ways. But I also want to honor if there's people that may not go the college track. You may do, and I know you sort of mentioned that, Carolyn, but you might be doing mechanical work or vo-tech, or maybe there's other things that come out that are opportunities for you after school, and that's great, that's amazing. And then and if maybe some of you are in that track and you're nervous to go back and shift, maybe you want to go get your license for a hair salon or professional salon or certification for coaching, and that's part of it too. And I'll speak from the education part, but also that, because all of those matter and we need you. And so I think for me, I went into education. I've always known I was going to teach and be in education. But I remember, Carolyn, when I was just thinking now about different shifts in my life, I knew I was going into education. I didn't know special education or elementary, and I fell in love with working with adults with disabilities. And when I was 18, and kind of went after the track of my aunt, like her footsteps, who's still teaching. And I loved it. I loved going through school, and I did great with student teaching. And afterwards, I taught for 3 years. And then I came back because I'm like, I really, like, the first year of teaching is really hard. You're really just like, it's a lot. Like, you're with students, you're trying to learn all of your management strategies and everything. And I almost left after the first year. It was just hard. But I stayed, for 3 years, was learning strategies. And then I came back to school because I'm like, I really want to learn more. And I did that. I pursued my master's, and I told my one professor, who I really adore today, the first day before I even started, oh, I'm going to get my PhD, like getting my doctorate. I spoke it out to existence already. And then, like, as I went through the program, I was nervous as a writer. And honestly, I was so nervous and full of perfection that I just didn't organize any of my writing. I didn't. Like, I almost like self-sabotage, self-fulfilling prophecy of like not doing this. And so I really started to get down, and I was not going to apply for my PhD. Like, I thought of it, but I was like, you know what, maybe this is not for me. And I remember being in this English language class, getting my certification. There was like this, like, teaching English to speakers of other language, which I have. And my advisor, he's really smart, and Dr. Wiseman actually said to me, you should get your PhD. He's like, you're brilliant and you should go to Harvard, all this stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I had a month before, like, Carolyn, to put in this application. And I was like, oh my gosh, like it really, that was why I did it, because I had somebody say, I see this in you. And then I applied to different places, and I didn't have time to do my GREs. My GREs were horrible at math. Like, now it'd probably be different, I think, across the board, but it was bad. Like, but my professors knew me, my work and my ethic and who I was. And I got into Lehigh, maybe not the other places I applied. And that's a whole other story. But basically, but when I got in, I was excited about the PhD, but I actually wasn't excited, because right before that, I had people saying, wow, you would be a great counselor. But I was so nervous. I didn't think I was qualified. I didn't believe I was qualified to go into counseling or go into anything to help other people as they're healing, because I knew it was a hot mess. Like, I had not really gone in, and this was 2006. This was 15 or so years ago. I had some healing. I definitely had some stuff happen over those years, but I did not feel like I would be someone that could do that. And I felt like the flatness of it, because I probably knew deep down there was something else, right? Like, I had all these decisions. I was like, I'm gonna do this. But I will say the PhD, so for anybody that is on the verge, right? Sometimes you run from the very thing you're called to, because it's like a lot of times your experiences or things that you've been through, or things that seem so far away. But just know, if that's a passion, like, I know for me, my passion are for kids, and if there's anything, like, I used to cry watching Oprah when the kids would run away, like in Africa, because people were killing kids. Like, they would run from, like, it was horrible. And I remember having nightmares and just knowing that one day I would be doing something with that. And there's something about your dreams, is that, like, when you're doing that, sometimes when you're still not, you have the skills, but maybe you're still building your skill sets, we run away from it because we think it's too hard. But just know that they're going to come around, and sometimes you put down your dreams, but if it's your dream and it's something that you want to do, I say go for it, whether it be go building cars or designing or coaching, because a lot of times the very things we're running from because we're so afraid is actually the things that we're called to. And so mine end up coming around, like leadership, my supervisory thing, and I have a couple other things I want to do, but like, you'll get it. And it's not because I'm like, oh, I want to have 1,000 things. Like, I didn't want to go back and get my master's. That wasn't my plan after my PhD. but what happens is you start to get other skill sets because it's going to launch you into like your passions, and all of them come together. And so whether you're, that's my thought for you, is that I ran from the very thing for at least 9 years until I went back into the field, or more. I think I started, it was like about 9, like 10 years, a whole decade before I went back in it. So if you're contemplating, audience, and there's something that you're passionate about, know that you can grow into it, you can learn the skills, and don't give up on yourself or your dreams. Pick it on up again. There you go.
I love it. That's great. I feel like I always say I love it, but I do. It's encouraging, and don't shut the door on something that you're interested in. And there's other ways, sometimes it might be, I'm not going to go back to school, but I love kids and I want to volunteer, or like it can open up other doors if you're open to it. Right. And like you said, if it's your calling, it's on your mind, and explore it further. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. I'm ready for my question.
Yes. Okay. So
my question next week is going to be way lighter than that question.
Okay, that's fine. So my question is, what were you passionate about in high school? Like what do you have parallels of what you did in high school that you do today? Like, are there things that you were passionate about and you did, whether it be sports or writing, that you do today that may have ignited in high school?
Excellent question. I love it. So I would say, since I can remember, I have always loved the idea of performing. I cannot sing. I always took dance, but I wasn't like the best dancer. You know what I mean? But I did all those things, and I've always wanted to perform. I have always wanted to be on stage. I've wanted to be famous. And I say that with a little, tongue in cheek, because being famous can come in lots of different ways. And it's always been my dream to kind of be the star of my show. Right. And I feel like that is what I'm doing. So I was a cheerleader in high school. I am definitely a cheerleader still today. I was the class clown when I graduated from high school, and there is no question that I still bring the funny to the party. I'm quick-witted and have a sense of humor. And my newest passion going forward with my book and Queen LLC is to become famous and influence and be on stage. And that I don't know exactly what that means yet, but it's all aligning. And I appreciate the question, because I think it's interesting that to look back and go, wow, I'm doing it, right? Good question. Good question. And I would encourage everyone to answer that question for yourself, because it'll show shortfalls and also where you're excelling, right?
Yeah, I agree. I love it. Well, I'm glad that I learned a lot about you from high school, and some of those parallels today are still there. So that's exciting. And now for our quote. So I actually have one. And this really goes back to what I was talking about first, which I know we had some parallels and some things that are a little unique. Mine is on peace. Peace is a result of restraining your mind to process life as it is rather than as you think it should be. And that's by Wayne Dyer. And a lot of times we're like worrying about all these other things, but peace is staying in the moment and knowing that things are going to be coming, but staying in the moment, staying present.
Excellent. And I will use that going into my week. So thank you. In my summary and my quote. So my summary is, just everything we've talked about. Life is about choice. And I wish everybody smart choices this coming week, and know that if it doesn't turn out to be a smart choice, you can always change it. So choice is the word of the week for me. And then my quote is, be who you are and say what you feel, because those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind.
Love it. That's amazing.
Surround yourself.
Yeah, I like that quote. I've heard that, but I love it. It's a really powerful one, right? It's important to show up as you and have people that are supporting you. And again, right, as you go through life, it's good to have people that are with you, even when you make choices and it's, maybe didn't go the way you think it would, but they're still there. So I love
No
that.
apologies. No apologies for unordinary conversations. We say what we feel and share what we are genuine about, and just transparency.
Love it. Love it. So as always, audience, if you're watching, hopefully you got many different golden tips, little wisdom tips from myself and Carolyn. And we are located on LinkedIn on Unordinary Conversations, and we will be having some upcoming announcements as to other places you can find us as we move forward. Some winks might be some actual podcasts for audio and maybe perhaps some other social media areas. So be on the lookout for that as we continue. And even in the next couple of weeks, there may be surprises where we will be having for you. I think it's episode 18. That'll be in the week of November 18th, that we may have some surprises for you as we move forward. So yeah, with that, Carolyn, do you want to close out with our famous title?
Yes, let's do it.
1, 2, 3.
Unordinary conversations
with Amanda
and with Carolyn. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you all.
Have a great takeaway.
Yes, take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.